So here's a basic overview of my warm-up that I perform before every workout, pretty much. I start off with some jump rope. Before I do anything, I actually do some deep tissue massage on rotator cuff and hip and that kind of stuff, and then get into the jump rope. Everything I do in my warm-up has a purpose. It's not just running on a treadmill for 5 minutes. A warm-up can be so much more than that, and everything I do here, there's a role for it. The jump rope, I like to condition my ankles and knees to the jumping, the stress of the impact, and so I'll spend 5 or 8 minutes on this usually, going through all just different kinds of methods and just kind of playing around. And then I get into some dynamic stretches, so I do these to warm the shoulders up and get the shoulders kind of pre-stretched and fire up the nervous system, get it ready to activate the shoulders at a high intensity. So I run through several different dynamic stretches here, and you can see sometimes I cross these over like an X just to get a little bit more tissue, and also externally rotate the arm as I go back. You saw that. Call these vertical arm swings. These are great for freeing up the back of the shoulder and the lats. And then some trunk rotations, keeping the abs tight, trying to keep your gut facing forward and just rotating from the chest and shoulders. Then I do some squats to help open up the hips, get the hips ready for, usually I'm doing some kind of leg work during the workout. This is called a Samson lunge. This is a great stretch, dynamic stretch I use with a lot of my clients as well to loosen up the hip flexors and get them ready. And you say I only hold it briefly, and I try to hit neutral spine at the top of each stretch. And then I do a little PNF for my hip internal rotators. I've got some tight internal rotators, so I'm doing contract relax there. And then I start the series of exercises. So I like to do, a push, a pull, a core exercise, and then some technique work. A warm-up is a great chance to work on things that you normally wouldn't do. You wouldn't have time for, you'd be too bored to do. So, for example, here on the pull-ups, I'm doing dead hang pull-ups and chest to bar. So I'm going all the way down, letting my shoulders come up around my ears, and then depressing my shoulders before I pull, and pulling myself all the way chest to the bar. So it's something I don't normally do all the time in the workouts, just to strengthen shoulder girdle. And then this is a little rotator cuff exercise I came up with using the dual cable machine. I love this. So that was the L position you saw first, and now I'm doing a W position with the arms. That's to work on your rotator cuff. Good chance to strengthen that up in the warm-up. This is called a Pallof press, made up by this physical therapist named something Pallof, and awesome core stabilizer exercise. I do that both sides. And then I run through what's called a Bergener warm-up. And if any of you know Mike Bergener, he's a famous Olympic weightlifting coach, famous in the CrossFit world as well. And he put together a series of exercises that he has his weightlifting athletes do before they do any weightlifting sessions. So it's really all just about building timing and building coordination, all stuff that can help your weightlifting skills. Weightlifting as in clean and jerk and snatch, not as in just resistance training, not as in like bench press. And these are called drop squats, working on the footwork for the snatch and the clean, which I still struggle with. And then this is something I throw in there because I'm not very good at dropping the bar down on my shoulders. It takes quite a lot of practice to get the timing right and not to hit yourself in the head, which I've done a few times. And then the last one is good mornings. These are called good mornings, kind of a stupid-looking exercise, but good one for the lower back and for the hips. And I use them partially to stretch my hamstrings out as well, so I go wide stance and just kind of mix it up, different parts of the hamstrings. Then after this, I'll repeat the exercises, starting with the dips and pull-ups. Repeat those for a second round. And as you'll see here, I'm a little bit more juicy, sweaty, because I'm at the end of my second round. So the only thing that changes is the barbell work. So rather than going through all those drills you just saw, I usually throw in some snatches, kind of depending on how I feel. I like to work on them because I suck at them, and just trying to work on the technique. So that's my full warm-up, and yeah, it's long. I mean, it takes Jake and I, if he's awake for the workout, it takes us a solid 10, really more like 15 minutes. It's not always the same. Sometimes I adjust it depending on what we're doing in that day in the workout, or how I feel, to emphasize certain things or skip certain things if I want to wimp out.